We'll be in Genesis, actually 13 to begin, and then we will move into 18 and 19 as the basic thought. Grateful to you for being here today. We're blessed to get to be together, to get to meet and adore our God. I'm going to pull a story together, almost like there are scenes working through, because I think they should be tied together. I will have to skip verses to get it done. You can read it all at your leisure, but it will go basically from 13 through 19 of Genesis. Now, you could call it the story of Lot, but you could also call it the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. But I want you to see how Lot ties in. Now, what prompted this, and I'm going to finish it with the New Testament equivalent next Sunday evening. The Old Testament equivalent, in our Bible class, we were discussing Romans 15:4. And the things written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the Scriptures might have hope. We were discussing why to study the Old Testament. If it isn't our law, why study the Old Testament? And the discussion got around to, we learned the nature and character of God. Amen. It is crucial to come to understand the nature and character of God. We can look at the New Testament, and we will on this subject. For 3 times in your New Testament, Sodom and Gomorrah is used as an illustration. Luke used it in Luke 17. Peter used it in 2 Peter 2, and Jude used it in verse 7. We'll try to tie those together with our emphasis being 2 Peter, but that's next Sunday night. Josh will be preaching next Sunday morning, and we'll look forward to that. But now to set the background for what we'll learn out of the New Testament, we're going to look at this. But I think the story's got to begin with an understanding of Lot. So that's Genesis 13. 1 and 2, and who Josh is, who Lot is. Not Josh. Who Lot is. 13, 1 and 2. And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him, into the south. And Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver and in gold. Verse 5. And Lot also, which went with Abraham, had flocks and herds and tents. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. They overgrazed the land. They needed more land. And there was a strife between the herdsmen of Abraham's cattle and the herdsmen of Lot's cattle, and the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelled then in the land. And Abraham said unto Lot, let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdsmen and thy herdsmen, for we be brethren. Think about that in a little while. Let there be no strife, for we be brethren. Now, generally, there's a solution to strife. And in this case, it was not a doctrinal issue. It was a territorial issue, and it was a feeding my cattle issue. Well, all those things can be solved, and be solved because there is no authority. I've always thought it a dilemma When people would say, I don't discuss politics or religion. I don't want to talk politics with you because there's no standard. But I do want to talk religion with you because there is a standard. The Bible. And I see here that they've got a situation going on that there is no Bible for. Those are always fixable. When we be brethren, and esteem the other man's opinion to be the equal of mine, yea, the superior of mine, I can get those fixed. And that's what he's setting forth here. For we be brethren. I underline that in my Bible because I think that needs to jump out when I'm reading this. Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. That'll fix it every time. You and I got a disagreement, you get first choice. Oh, wait a minute. The struggle is I want first choice. And that's why you wanting first choice has caused the problem. If you were willing to give me first choice, or if I were willing to give you first choice, then we have no problem. Whichever those cases be. God's challenged both of us with giving the other fella first choice. That fixes. We be brethren. Or if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left. And Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord. We looked at the Garden of Eden. Like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar. Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves, the one from the other. Watch it, because we're learning things that are principles about the dealings and character of God. Now, if I give you first choice, or you give me first choice, and we're very selfish with that choice, or very physical with that choice, we could have gotten it wrong. What did Lot choose? He chose the best for himself, because that's what he was given. You know what the best is going to end up to be? Sodom and Gomorrah. If you aren't spiritual, please listen. You will accept a decision off of a physical solution. He accepted, he made a decision. Watch it. Sometimes decisions declare our destiny. And destiny declares your eternity. That's serious. Decisions determine destiny, and destiny determines my eternity. Lot made a bad decision. Oh, well, wait a minute. The grass is really green here. Yeah, it is really green here. But look who your neighbors are. Evil companionships still corrupt good morals. 1 Corinthians 15:33. And while Lot did not play into the prevalent sin of his decision, he played into sin. He thought, watch it, he thought because his sin was lesser than their sin that he was still doing really well. He was. He was doing really well. But it's not about doing really well. It's about being God's man or God's woman in wherever we find ourselves. And sometimes where we find ourselves was of our own choosing. Be careful with the choice. We are loaded with choices. And we've got to take into consideration everything that's around the choice to be able to get it right. Abraham dwelled in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent towards Sodom. But the men of Sodom, verse 13 needs marked, were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. And the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, lift up now thine eyes and look from the place where thou art northward and southward and eastward and westward. They'd gone. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. What? A restating of Genesis 12, 2 and 3. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. It's a restating of the nation land promise of Genesis 12, 2 and 3. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it, and the breadth of it, for I will give it unto thee. Then Abram removed his tent and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord. I like that. Abram was not bitter over giving Lot first choice, and Lot being selfish enough to take away the best. So I learned something about Abram that's special in that. But it goes even further than that. Look at chapter 14, beginning about verse 11. And there was a fight, 4 kings against 5. And actually, the smaller won. But you can read that 14, 1 through 11. Take my word for that until now. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah. The many lost. And all their victuals, and went their way. And they took Lot. Lot, Abram's nephew's going into a captivity. Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed, lost it all. And there came one that had escaped, and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol, and brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abram. I want you to notice Abram the Hebrew. It's going to be important in a minute. And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan. And he divided himself against them, he and his servants, by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot and his goods, and the women also, and the people. Abram, had he had a bad attitude over giving Lot first choice, could have said, you served you right. I knew you was going to get in trouble with that. All I need to do is whip them, and now the land's mine. I'm going to leave you over there. Do we see attitudes that could be, the things written aforetime were written for my learning, that I, through patience and comfort of the Scriptures, might have hope. What do I see? I see there, as he's sitting forth, an understanding of his attitude toward now Lot. His attitude toward Lot, even though Lot had not treated him fairly, he's going to whip the people that whipped Lot, and he's going to bring Lot back. Look at chapter 18. Chapter 18. Now, I'm not skipping about Lot or about Abram, but I am skipping. 18, beginning about verse 16. Now, he just told Abraham and Sarah that they were going to have a child. And they were too old to have children. Verse 12, Sarah laughed at God. 14, God said, is anything too hard for me? No. 16, and the men rose up from thence and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. And the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham the thing which I do? I like that. What that verse says to me is we got a God of full disclosure. You need to know how God feels about something? Read the book you're holding. God has fully disclosed His feelings. Now, you and I may not have enough wisdom, spirituality to get it on a first reading. Probably don't. I don't know many people that do. But on the 20th reading, my wisdom may have improved because I've been praying for it. James 1:5. And now I'm tying things together I hadn't tied together before, and I'm learning to know more. I think that's what he's talking about as we look at this. But look, as he goes on, he disclosed, and he said, shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do? Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation. We read that in Genesis 12 and 13. And all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord. I know they're my people, to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken of him. And the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous. Good verse to underline. I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it which is come unto me, and if not, I'll know. He said, I'm hearing of the sin of Sodom and Gomorrah, but I'm going to go look for myself. It's hearsay up to this point. Boy, is that valuable. Anything said of you to God is hearsay till He comes and looks at you. You will get a fair trial. God will come Himself to look at you, to make sure the hearsay was absolutely correct. But He's divulging all of this to Lot. Look what Lot does. And the men turned their faces from thence and went towards Sodom, but Abraham stood yet before the Lord. I like that. Abraham stood in. And Abraham drew near. Ooh, I see confidence. And said, wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? God, I know you're going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, but are you going to get the righteous with the wicked? Peradventure there be 50 righteous within the city. Do you see the boldness of Abraham in praying? And you know who he's worried about most? Lot, his nephew. And he doesn't want, and the nephew that took advantage of him. Peradventure there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein? Abraham, and what I see in this verse is great faith. That be far from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should not be as the wicked, that be far from there. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? Ooh. Abraham, you're acknowledging him for what he is, but you're making the decision what right is. No, his decision agrees with what the judge has said. And the Lord said, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes. And Abraham answered and said, Behold, now I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord, which am but dust and ashes. I see great humility in Abraham as he evaluates himself. Peradventure there shall lack 5 of the 50 righteous. What if there's only 45, Lord? I saw of him great faith, great humility, and now I'm seeing great love. He is working to get other people's lives saved. Peradventure there shall lack 5. Will thou destroy all the city? 1.5 million to 2 million people. And he said, If I find there 45, I will not destroy it. I want you to watch. I pointed out that he was a Hebrew. You've probably heard the old expression, Jewing them down. Here's where it came from. Here's where it came from. Abraham goes on. And he spake unto him yet again and said, Peradventure, there shall be 40 found there. Abraham's got his nerve with God. He continues to ask God, praying the same prayer. And he said, I will not do it for 40's sake. And he said unto him, Oh, let not the Lord be angry. He said, Please don't get angry at me. I don't want to displease you. I want to please you, Lord. But I'm going to talk further. Peradventure there be 30. And he said, I will not do it if I find 30. You know how it goes on. 31, he goes down to 20. Do you see the great boldness of Abram in praying for Sodom and Gomorrah? And he said, Oh, let not the Lord be angry. 32. And I will speak yet but this one more time. Peradventure 10 shall be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake. Abraham thought he had a dead cinch at 10. But I want you to notice who quit. Not God. Abraham quit. What if he'd have said, Lord, if there's one righteous there, will you not destroy it? I think the answer would have been yes. We live in a nation that we don't think is as godly as it ought to be, and it could get a whole lot more ungodly. If we make the mistake of thinking because we're not as bad as them, that's okay, which is going to be the mistake Lot makes. He's going to make the mistake of thinking he's not as bad as them and make his own mistake. Not sodomy, but his own mistake, incest. And that mistake, though it's not imagined to be as bad, is going to be costly. You won't hear of Lot after 19. You won't hear of Lot. And what you'll hear of is 2 ungodly nations created from his 2 daughters. That's the end of 19. And that was the result of him not being as bad as them. Boy, I'm begging us. Use the Bible for your standard of what's good. Do never place any faith of not being as bad as them. There's always, I know that's not a fact, but there's almost always people that are worse than you are. I hear people say, well, I'm not going to church. Half of those people are hypocrites. I'm better than half of those people. And I always ask them, yeah, which half? Oh, you're the best of the lost? Does that feel good to you? I'm the best of the lost. There's no feel good in that. That's a logic that is so illogical that it's unbelievable that there are men and women go to hell over that kind of logic. I'm better than half the people in the earth. God is talking to us. And the Lord, verse 33, went his way as soon as he had left communing with Abraham. Abraham quit. And Abraham returned unto his own place. And there came two angels to Sodom at even. Look at that, who's coming? And Lot sat at the gate of Sodom, and Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them. And he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, Behold now, my Lord, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house. Hospitable. And tarry all night and wash your feet, and you shall rise up early and go on your ways. And they said, No, but we will abide in the street all night. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house. And he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young. All the people, underlined in my Bible, all the people, the whole city was an ungodly mess, from every quarter. And they called unto Lot and said unto him, Where are the men that came into thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we might know them. And Lot went out at the door unto them, and shut the door after him. Get the picture. Lot goes outside. They're all circled his house. And said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold, now I have 2 daughters. Again, a mistake of Lot. Which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do you to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing. The men, verse 1, were angels. For therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. And they said, Stand back. And they said again, This one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them. And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. They said, No, we're coming. But the men put forth their hand. Those were the angels, 1 and 2. The angels put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them, and shut the door. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness. I'm awed by the power of our God. Brethren, there's no way to deliberately mess up. God controls it. There they are. They're trying to break his door down to get these angels. Lot's trying to protect them. And God says, everybody up near, you're going to be blind. Both small and great, so that they wearied themselves hunting the door. It's almost humorous right there. And the men said unto Lot, Hast thou here any besides son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city? Bring them out of this place. Anybody you can get to go to a place of safety, bring them out. The place of safety is the church. Anybody you can get to come to the place of safety. All the way through your New Testament, Noah and the ark, a place of safety, a preacher of righteousness bringing to the place of safety. Here, Lot, anyone can preach. Bring them to the place of safety. He's wanting us to realize that he saves the church. Ephesians 5:25, Acts 20:28. Beg people to come to the place of safety. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxen great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord hath sent us to destroy it. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get you out of this place, For the Lord will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. They weren't interested. They weren't interested. We'll find that there are people that aren't interested. It's our opportunity to warn. It's their opportunity to accept it or to make fun of it. I'm reminded of 2 Thessalonians 2, 10 through 12. And with all deceivableness of unrighteous in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth that they might be saved. Do you love the truth? Do you love the truth? Get out of the place of lost and get into the place of safety. God is using this to make the point. And with all deceivableness of unrighteous in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Watch this. And for this cause, God shall send them a strong delusion, that they that love not the truth might believe a lie and be damned. You will reject truth only so long, and God will start helping you believe a lie. You go that far, you've gone past the point of no return. The point of no return is an expression that was developed when we first created aircraft for war. There's your gas tank. You pass half full, you became a kamikaze pilot. You've gone past the point of no return. You can't get back. When I don't love the truth, I'm not going to be able to get back. I've got to fall in love with truth. He goes on. And when the morning arose, I like that, new morning today. Many of you came in saying, boy, the morning is nice out here. It gives you optimism, makes you feel good. Here it is. On a day when everybody's happy for a new morning, like we are, hailfire and brimstone. See, we didn't think today was Judgment Day because of the way it looked outside. But today could be Judgment Day. Then the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. Get out, Lot. And while he lingered, mistake, Lot, the man laid hold upon his hand, that's the angels, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful unto him. And they brought him forth and set him without the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life. 4 things here. Little numbers with circles around them. Escape for thy life. Look not behind thee. That's a positive divine command. Don't look back. Neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. And Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my Lord. Behold, now thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and hast magnified thy mercy which thou hast showed unto me in saving my life, and I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die. Lot is still struggling with a faith that's not really, really good. Behold, now let me stay in this little city. 20. And he said unto him, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this little city, Zoar, for the which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou become, because I'm not going to do it, because I promised Abraham. Therefore the name of the city was called Zoar. The sun was risen We made that point. Upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and that which grew upon the ground. 1.5 million to 2 million people. But his wife looked back. We saw in verse 17, don't turn around. Listen to Luke 9:62. If you look back, you're not fit for the kingdom of God. You have heard